the screen. One second, I can't find the. Okay. Are we live? Okay. Can we see the chat? One second.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting session of the Education Outreach series brought to you by GirlScript Foundation. We are here to keep this spark of learning alive and continue our mission of empowering students and early career professionals with real world knowledge and guidance. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce someone who brings deep technical experience and real industry perspective to the table. Abhishek, currently a senior software engineer and platform engineer at ServiceNow, and previously associated with Accenture. Abhishek's journey is filled with practical lessons, from getting his first tech job to rising through the ranks in product engineering and platform development. And today he is here to talk about something close to all our hearts, how to prepare for tech careers. So let's get started. Abhishek, the stage is all yours.
Hi, Varshita. Is this audio better? Is this clear? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Hey,
Yeah,
thanks
I
for
can hear
having
you.
me. I wish I was as exciting as you made me to be, but thank you for that introduction. That was a really, really good intro. So today I would like to share some of my insights that mostly stems from the fact that I wish I had when I was starting out. Because like I come from a family where there is nobody in tech. I am the first one to make this entry. So I learned a lot of things by trial and error. Okay. So I hope you guys have some takeaway from this session and you are able to decide what to do and what not to do. So the things I wanted to discuss today was mostly um, not so if I give any kind of advice, it will not be one size fits all kind of process, right? So something what you
Yeah.
require can be very different from something somebody listening this stream might need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my insights, what different kind of industries are, what their incentives are, so you have the knowledge, you have the information, you have all the tools to make the decision for yourself. That's what I'm going for in this talk. So I would like to start this talk by saying that when I was in my engineering college, I had this brief encounter with an industry expert then, and he said one line to me. He said that computer engineering and computer industry are two very different things. And at that point, it didn't make any sense to me. Like, why would they be different? Isn't like computer industry the place where you go and do computer engineering, right? But it's not true, because humans are not quote unquote Excel sheets. So when you talk about computer industry, a lot of the personality, a human nature, incentives, finances, all of these very, very different factors that have nothing to directly do with writing code or algorithms come into picture, and they directly or indirectly impact your work culture, what technologies you will learn, how you should prepare for an interview, let's say, or if you want to switch jobs, what kind of industries you should look for. Like for example, if we were having this talk 2 years ago, let's say, when there was this big boom in the market and a lot of money was flowing in, everybody was talking about scaling. Like even if the companies had no product market fit, they were talking about if you had to go to an interview, they would probably ask you, hey, do you know AWS, do you know Kubernetes, how do you write this application so that it will scale for a, let's say, 1 million people. But now if you go to the interviews, you are less likely being asked that question, because nobody's thinking about scale, nobody's dreaming about 1 million customers, but they will most likely ask you about AI, which is the new hot topic. So it totally depends what you will study on the market trend. So yeah. So before I even start talking about these things, I'll give a slight disclaimer. It might feel like I am a very negative person after listening to this 1 hour of me talking, because I might come up with a lot of negative inferences. But the idea is not to show you, not to make you feel negative about the industry. But I feel like, if you know, everybody likes the positives of any industry. Everybody wants to be an astronaut. We see the positive impacts. We want to be that. but nobody really talks about the negative sides of it. And I believe that if you are okay with the negatives, you will definitely enjoy the positives. You will enjoy the remote work, the pay is good, all of that. Everybody knows that. Everybody has read the news how some guy passed from IIT, landed 2 CRPA package, right? So good, we are okay with, but negatives we don't really fully understand about the industry, right? So yeah, so again, it's not the ugly side of it, it's just to show you one part of the industry, how it works, and allow you to plan accordingly. So for the people who are just starting out, who are very new to the industry, don't know anything, the first thing they need to understand about the industry is there are two kinds of companies: service based and product based. And even I didn't know when starting out. So basically a product based company is any company whose product you have seen. Like Google, you have used the search engine. Salesforce, you probably heard of it. Microsoft, you use their operating system, right? But you have never used anything built by Infosys. There is no software or product with label Infosys on it, or Accenture or TCS on it. That's because they are not selling a product. They are helping other product based companies build their product. They are selling a service. Okay. Now, on the surface level, this seems like a very basic intro. Everybody knows it. But what does it mean? Like, how does their business model work? Deeply impacts what kind of people they hire and what you can expect going into these companies. For example, if you were to go into, let's say, any company like Infosys or TCS or Accenture, any service-based company, how are they making their profit? Is they are selling their projects for a fixed amount of money to a product-based client. Like for example, if I am building a product, I'm going to HCL and saying, hey, I want this Microsoft Word to be built, and I cannot build the whole thing by myself. So why don't you take 1 crore rupees from me and build this thing? This is a project based funding of a product, right? So every time the project comes in, they will onboard employees and they will make it build. But here's the thing: every single time, let's say for example, they are taking salary per engineer. So let's say you are a service based company and you have hired 3 people. You will ask the product based company, let's say these engineers cost 3 lakhs rupees a month, and then you will pay them 3 lakh rupees in 1 year. So this difference kind of becomes the company's profit, right? So what does that mean? It is in their best interests if they get to pay you less and they get a very high price from uh, your original employer, the product based company. In that case, what happens is you face tremendous amount of work pressure, and you will struggle asking for a certain higher grade pay. Okay, because it's not in their best interest to pay you that much. Product, on the other hand, is selling a product, innovating, and from the profits is paying you money. So the requirement from the engineer is also to be more creative, to be solving more problem, and they will hire much less people. And if they have brief requirements, they will outsource it to service-based companies. So now the work culture kind of shifts according to the incentives that are given. So in a product-based company, you might be asked to do more of thinking about the product, come up with more creative ideas, how we can do this better, that better. And on a service-based company, this will be there, this part will be there, but it will be a smaller section. The bigger section will be what has the client already given to you, and how quickly and how efficiently can you develop it using a custom technology, right? So that's some Rakshita has answered, asked a question: what makes a candidate stand out in interviews beyond just technical ability? Well, I would say technical ability is definitely number one. The more junior you are, technical ability and the ease of working with you. If you provide a good work culture, and if you are able to sort of show off your soft skills, that goes a long way. Because you might not be technically super capable of making an org wide impact or even a team wide impact, but if you're really easy to work with and you kind of want to take that responsibility, you will be a dream candidate for any manager. So I hope that answers the question. Basically, the ease of working with you, definitely technical ability, that they don't offset each other. But yeah, work ethics, soft skills, and general behavioral skills are the most important things interviewers look for. Yeah. So this is what I said about service based. Coming back to the topic, service based and product based company. Generally, you will see product based companies pay you more, have better work culture than any service based company, and this is the reasoning behind it. Okay, that doesn't mean that you should not go to service based companies. I just want you to understand, like, if you want a more stable and a more under the what, like low key work pressure, which you are doing some deterministic job every day for a medium package and want to live a medium and a chill life, service is the way to go. And if you want to blow up with your creativity and you want to get better pay and do that, and you want to excel in some sort of way, product is the way to go. Okay. The second thing I would like to tell you about is the startup culture in India. So between Accenture and ServiceNow, I have also worked with a lot of startups. One is was a very small scale startup, and other was slightly bigger one. So even when you're looking for a startup, you need to understand what is their motivation. Like, so some startups have already have found their product market fit. They have their groove, they have their customers, they are profitable. So in these companies, they tend to maintain their clientele and then they try to grow slowly, which means that if, as an employee, you have slightly better work culture. But if the startup has no product market fit, which means the CEO or the founder would like to try out so many different things so that they get that product market fit, which means they will make you try very, very different things in a very short span of time. And you will again end up under a lot of pressure. So it's a high risk, high reward kind of situation where you also make a lot of money, but you also have a this intense pressure to perform. You cannot say that, okay, I will not look at this, I'll do this 2 days later, because there is not much staff to handle your fallouts. You have to take care of everything. So you will learn a lot, but you will have to hustle a lot. So it goes both ways. So if you want like a more chill life, you better stick with bigger service companies where you have other people to surround you and help you out. But if you want to like play with fire directly, but you want to grow a lot, startups are also a growing and a good option in IT industry, right? So these are the two things you need to understand about the companies in general. Then the third thing you need to understand is, I always, whenever I'm talking to people about their salaries, about their work, I generally tell them, go for a higher package. And you might say it is so much more obvious, like, yeah, everybody wants a higher package, what's the wrong in it? But no, higher package is actually more important than you do realize. It's not just how much money you will get at the end of each month, but your package directly corresponds to your work culture. So for example, think about it like this. Let's say you and I, Varshita, we both build napkins, embroidery napkins, and we sell them. Okay. And the only reason your napkins are selling better than mine is because your napkins are at 110 rupees a piece and mine is at 130 rupees a piece. Okay. So what that means is you and I in this market are playing a price battle. Who can sell it at a lower price? It's not nobody. Our customers don't care about the quality. They only care about the price. Which means, in order, if you want to defeat me and you want to make a dominance in the market, you would want that you can scale your business. You sell at 110 and then you increase your number of unit production. So economies of scale work in your favor, which means you would always want your employees. Now, from an employee perspective, what that means is that you have no intention of paying me more money. All you want to do is you want to maintain that edge, because as soon as you start paying your employees more, your cost will increase. Your cost will increase. You might not be able to sustain that production at 110 rupees. And our prices might come closer and you might start losing the thing. On the other hand, think about a company, cloth company like Louis Vuitton. If they are going to start selling embroidery napkins, they don't care about the 110 and 130 rupees margin game, right? They would sell it probably 500 rupees for one napkin or even 1,000 rupees for a napkin, right? And they have their own customer base. They are not going for mass production. They are just trying to sell a high quality napkin, which means as an employee for Louis Vuitton, I'm more likely to be paid a lot more because they have a bigger margin and they are not going to hire more people, but they are going to hire less but high quality people. And if you get to be with that company, your work culture and your paycheck will improve. Now, if you reverse engineer this, think about it. If a company is paying 15-20 lakh rupees for you per month, sorry, per annum, then in that case, they are less likely to give you a terrible work culture because they see some value in you. There is an exception to this rule, but more likely go for a higher paid company, because if you it's not just about the paycheck. It means that if the company is able to pay you that much, that means they have some profit margin. They are not playing the pricing game. They are not running kind of a sweatshop where you have to produce more with lesser quality, but they want you to be creative, try to do more, and for that they are willing to pay you more. So the work culture, you will definitely see a difference. You will see they encourage creativity. They don't endorse overworking of any way, and they allow you to take your sweet time and learn things and be better yourself, because it eventually benefits the company. But again, if the company is just paying you that salary out of some investor's pocket, then you will feel that pressure again. Okay, so this is too much of a high level, but I'm giving you this information. How you should digest this information is, when you are looking for a job, look at the company in much more detail, and that will give you a lot more idea about how the company's culture will be. Are they funded company? Is there a lot of work pressure? Is it a mass production company? Like, so basically, let's say you know React.js and you enter the company, they give you whatever, like 10 12 LPA package, and then you are day in day out just writing thousands and thousands of pages of React with no creativity at all. You're going to feel burnt out after 11 months, no matter what the amount is. But if you go for a higher paid company, that is very less likely to happen. It will only happen if they have like huge investor funding and they are still struggling for product market fit. That's probably one of the only few scenarios where you might end up in a situation where the pay is also good and the struggle is also high. So yeah, definitely the amount on your paycheck means more than what you actually think, right? Third, I want to talk to, like, if anybody is watching this is struggling with switching jobs. Okay, so you are already in a job and you want to move to another company, and you will realize this one thing: all the service companies that I talked about have 3 month notice period. Okay, but all the product based companies have 1 month notice period. And it might not feel like, okay, why is he talking about notice period? Again, it's an insight into the company's culture. Think about it. Take any global leader, like president, prime minister types global leader. If they were to step down today, everything will mostly be fine. People will resume their groove back. So that means even they are replaceable. But here these companies are telling that we can't replace you for 3 months. That sounds a bit off, right? Why would they say that? Because notice period, they say it is because so that we can train other people and bring to a position, but it's not that. It's not just that. They put notice period as a deterrent so that you cannot change jobs easily. Think about it. If I am a person who is paying you more than what you can get in the market, let's say I am giving you 25 lakhs, I know that you are not more than worth whatever 12 13 lakhs, but I'm giving you 24. So will I give you a large notice period? No. I will just say, you, if you don't like my job, you quit in 1 month. I don't care, because I will easily find your replacement in 1 month in the market. But if I'm paying you very, very less, I know you can go into the market easily, bring a bigger offer letter, and you can contest me. Which means I have to increase the notice period. So when you go to the other recruiter and say, oh, I have 3 months notice period, they will not only extend an offer letter easily, which means you will get stuck with me and you will work longer, even though I know the pay is less. So it's a trap. So if you have a choice between choosing two companies, you, even notice period can make a difference in making a judgment call on how the company is. Because, like, I would even say, like, if you are planning to change jobs and you have one job, let's say at 20 LPA, you have one offer at 20 LPA with 3 month notice period, another offer at 18 LPA with 1 month notice period, go with the second one, because you are more likely to be able to get better offers in the future. But the 22 is 22 LPA one will be most likely a trap, and they are trying to trap you into a position where you can't get more and more offers in the future, right? So again, just, it's not just the money, it's the notice period, it's the management behavior. All of these little insights are going to help you. If you land a very good offer with a very good company that promotes productivity, right, you can try and do work that you cannot do at home and learn. Like, for example, if you really get to work with AI and Kubernetes and scaling in AWS, you don't have to buy all of this costly enterprise licenses. You can just work with the company, do creative things, design more, and you can get better and you can do better in your future. But if you get into the same rut of doing building the same application over and over again, just mass producing stuff, You will realize that when you are trying to leave the company, suddenly you are not able to crack interviews, suddenly you are not able to answer practical experience questions, and your notice period is again a deterrent, your current package is being used as a deterrent to not give you better offers against you. Again, there are solutions to everything, but if you just look for these things in the beginning, you can avoid a lot of trouble for yourself, and you can, in this like huge list of companies going around, you can try and find better things for you, right? So yeah, I mean, there is there is this common idea that, for example, HRs or managers, not HRs, I would say managers do that. Say for example, they will pay you around like 3 or 4 LPA, right? And they will scare you into caring about the product, but the compensation is not matching the work that you're doing. So you are not being paid to care for the product. It's a salary. That means you come at 9, you leave at 5. That's the truth. But that's the truth they will never tell you, because they will benefit only if you work for 14 hours, you care, you burn your health, you do everything just for the job, right? So they scare you, and how they scare you, it's a very simple tactic. So for example, if you go back to the embroidery example, right? If you were to hire talented artisans that can do very well embroidery, you have to pay them more salary, because these people are skilled people, so they have this market demand going for them, right? So you build, let's say, a system like a, what do you say, let's say a gadget that if you press on a napkin, it will just print the embroidery on it, right? In that case, what will happen is you don't need talented people anymore, and they can just, you can just hire relatively moderate people who are stamping onto that system, and you can obviously fire and hire cheaper people and maintain your margins, right? um, what I would recommend is rather learn technology which makes you skillful. So definitely, I'm not saying don't go for low code, no code. If the job permits or if the job needs, you can learn things like MuleSoft, WSO2, Integromat. These are all tools you can learn. Definitely, you can learn N8N. You can learn Flowwise, now new in the market for AI building, agent building, whatever. But it is very, very important that you also learn the basics of programming, so that you become the skilled worker who can ask for prices later. I have seen a lot of careers die this way, where they just get into the groove of the company day in, day out, they keep working, and suddenly they realize, oh, I'm not relevant anymore. It's like that frog boiling in water, slowly heating up the temperature until the frog doesn't even realize it's too late, right? So I'll keep some time for yourself, practice problems, learn programming languages, learn skill sets, basically keep yourself up to date, and it's very, very important. It will pay off in the long run, 100%. Varun Sai, I think, said in the chat, what's your take on networking and how can students build meaningful connections online? Mm, honestly, that's a slightly difficult thing to do. Okay, so if you want to do networking online, that's slightly difficult, because why should anyone talk to you? Like, there will be few goodwill people who will talk to you, will discuss with you things online. But what I feel the best way to network is to learn and network. For example, if you like some project online, let's say Django is a great open source online project, and you can start contributing. React.js, if you are into JavaScript, you can start developing, and then you start talking to their online communities. When that happens, you can slowly use your LinkedIn to reach out to more people. You can write your own insights, so people don't think in terms of what I can take. Okay, think in terms of a value exchange. You want value from people around you, you also need to give value to the system. If you give value to the system, you'll get back, right? So let's say if you are good at writing, or if you are good at discussing some topics, you can go on LinkedIn, you can create a community on YouTube, you can join Reddit communities, and then you can post your findings, you can say what you have done, and then slowly your network will start to grow. There is definitely value in networking, because I have seen people who have friends and colleagues over time in all the big companies. They're in Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, Netflix, every one of them is there. So when they are looking for a job, they are not even applying on the popular websites like Naukri or anything. They just call their friends, get a referral down, and they start going for interviews. something that you probably won't even get a chance of doing, because your resume will get rejected by the ATS, not even the HR. The ATS system will reject your resume. So definitely build strong relations, but don't think in terms of, hey, I will just blast everybody's DMs. I will take a LinkedIn premium for a month, blast everybody's DMs and see who will respond to me. Even if you do, they won't be meaningful connections. I feel like quantity is a good thing, but quality also matters. And you will only get that when you are working with them, either on online projects or anything. Like for example, you contribute to, let's say, AppSmith, you are in their Discord channels, you constantly post messages, sometimes you will be in somebody's DMs, you will learn also, and you will build communities also, you will build communications also. Yeah. So that's, I think, my 2 cents on how to build connections online. uh, yeah. So one thing I would like to discuss is packages. Sorry, not packages, courses. If you want to learn a new thing, most people would like to buy some course, like it's a magic pill. Um, like it's a magic pill, but honestly, there are, I would say, stay away from the courses unless you fully understand what they are doing. So, and this is part of the general trend. I will answer Rakshita's question first, and then I'll answer that, because I think what she's saying is very closely related to uh, uh, the current situation. So what are the required skills one should know to survive in an industry? You never know. The answer to this question is completely dependent on the person listening to this. So I would say, in India right now, still commercial app building is the biggest thing. So I'm not saying, I don't know what will happen 1 year down the line. Maybe we'll have our own great fundamental models, and there will be a AI race in India as well. Or maybe if India chooses to go into hardware more, then assembly language probably will become a great tool. But as of today, the way I see it is, we are still building integrations with AI, right? So again, AI can get replaced with any technology in future. So what you should focus is commercial app building, and that could be anything. You can go, if you're more focused towards mobile, you can go with Swift for iOS, you can go with Kotlin for Android, or you can stick with Java, Python, JavaScript, right? So if I had to point out one required skill, is something I say, coding common sense. So the way anybody learns any programming skill is, I don't know if you have read this book or not. There's a book by Daniel Kahneman. It talks about thinking fast and slow. If you have not, I highly recommend you guys go and read it. So he talks about two systems, one fast system and one is the slow system. So if I say, hey, what is the color of the sky? What is 1 plus 1? You're immediately thinking of an answer in your head. That's your fast system responding. But if I ask you what is 63 times 94, not only you don't know the answer, your brain kind of laid back and said, no, 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 I will not calculate. Maybe I'll pull out a calculator. You didn't even start doing the calculation, because it's your slow system. It's supposed to preserve your energy. Okay. The one thing I talk about, you should learn as an essential skill, is coding common sense. It's basically when you look at a problem statement, which is not data structure algorithm problem statement. I'm saying a common problem where I'm giving you, let's say, a JSON of any format, and I want a response in a certain another format. You should be very quickly, intuitively understand what kind of code needs to go into it. And this is easier said than done, because there is no book or course that can help you do that. This only happens by volume, which means if you solve a lot and lot of, you write a lot of small programs, you will slowly start to build an intuition for those things. Building that intuition is the most important thing, because once your common sense works, your basics are cleared. Once your basics are cleared, now you are ready to learn anything. So even if the industry trend changes tomorrow, let's say again people are talking about building on scale, and Sevala Cloud becomes like popular. Nobody probably have even learned about Sevala Cloud or what it does, but let's say that becomes the norm. It's a Kubernetes cluster along with Google's AI mixed in. So let's say if that becomes a norm, you will know how to learn. You will understand what it does. Tomorrow, if somebody writes a Terraform script equivalent on Sevala, no biggie. You already understand the basics, so why not understand this other thing? But all of this will sound like, oh my god, this is like an unending syllabus of how much things should I know. No, you need to know only one thing, one skill, that is coding common sense. And this is where I think Gen AI is going to hurt you the most. That is because it's exactly good at this one thing. It's not good at design. It's not good at thinking on its own feet. It's only good at writing, hey, write a function to add two numbers. Gen AI absolutely rocks in that area. But that's exactly what's going to stop you, because if you start using Gen AI this way, the wrong way, you will not practice enough and you will never learn to be better. So what ends up happening is you will say, hey, I know, yeah, I know how to write small codes. In your head, you feel very much confident. But as soon as you take on a slightly more difficult problem, you suddenly see, hey, it seems like I've hit a cliff. Like up to a certain difficulty problems I can solve or I can imagine, but after a certain difficulty, I'm not able to imagine those problems. And that is happening is because you're not really clear on your basics. So what happens is your system 2, the slower thinking system, gets overloaded really quickly. Think of it like driving. So when you talk to your Ola driver, he is easily talking and driving. But if you were to do same task with me, I'm not a very good driver. So I'll probably be putting 99% of my brain energy into driving only, and that's because it's not really absorbed by my quick thinking system. So you really might think that you have learned the basics, but I encourage you, put in that hours, write really small code. Not Don't think about, if you're a beginner, don't think about big pieces of code. Think about really small pieces of code, like adding two number, dividing two number. If you're into Python, learn to write a decorator. If you're into JavaScript, learn to write closures. These small things are going to make a lot of difference. And when you start learning DSL Go, when you start going for bigger things, like you don't know Python but you're trying to do Django, you don't know JavaScript but you're trying to do React directly, you are not able to connect those many dots, and you are very easily overwhelmed, and suddenly it becomes like a chapter thing, like, okay, I have to learn this also, I have to learn this also, I have to learn this also, and you get overwhelmed and you leave 90% things out. But if you practice the basics, the whole big syllabus is not going to feel like a syllabus only. It's going to feel like one big concept that you understand in its entirety, and you can easily join concepts with one another. And when that one entire circle has completed, now you have understood. Now if somebody says, hey, no, we don't use Django, but we used DRF, Django REST framework, to build, you're like, okay, fine, I understand what REST framework is, I understand what Django is, I more or less can guess what's going to happen. And you can even guess 80% of the syntax. If somebody comes and say, no, this one project in the company is not in Django REST framework but fast API, and this one specific piece of code is written in Starlet. Okay, what difference does it make? It's going to be the same thing. It's probably going to be an ASGI, asynchronous gateway interface, right? And it's going to be somewhere between returning a JSON in a certain format versus other. You probably have to write a authentication middleware in the between. It's the same thing that's happening everywhere. And as soon as you start joining these concepts, start blending into one big concept, then language is no longer a barrier. That's when you say that I'm on a skill where I'm very difficult to replace, right? And then you start adding Gen AI. It's not to make you lazy, but then to go deeper and look at other syntax and learn from it, but not in the earlier stages when you are supposed to do the hard work and write those small codes. Varun Sai is asking, working at a stealth mode startup, will this experience be valuable for learning and help land a better job when decided to switch? Well, depends. If you are working at a stealth mode startup, it has it depends how you are working, in what capacity you are working with it. So, for example, you're working as a CTO, but the startup is like a Kirana store that you are building, which is basically a copy of Instamart. So you are learning more about the business end of it than the technical aspect of it. I can literally build, like, within a week, an absolute clone of a Blinkit. Some of you in the chat might do it even faster. So there is no technical challenge in it, and you might read a couple of blogs and deploy it faster. And that whole building experience is the only differentiator. But let's say you have only spent 20-30% of your time on the tech stack, and you have spent 70% of time going to founders, investors, talking about those things, finding a product market fit. That is also an experience. Again, it's not going to go waste, right? You can still become a great product manager plus developer combination, but you have to find also a startup that is willing to look at that. If there is a startup that is purely saying that, okay, fine, we'll pay you 20 LPA, you just come and you build a bunch of React pages for me, they will only see in the interview and your projects how much of React have you written and can you answer their interview questions. Only that will be relevant. But if you are interested in genuinely building a product, if you want to put something on, let's say, product hunt and try out an idea, I definitely encourage you to do that, because you will learn something and it will come in handy at some point in life. Maybe not immediately, but maybe 10 years down the line, that will become a very, very valuable skill. So I encourage you, but don't expect immediate returns. Also, it depends how you execute on your plan. Right. So yeah, coming back to the topic, we were talking about how to pick courses. So if you want to learn, let's say, front end and React, and you go for Udemy and you search for Andre Negoi, right? Great tutorial, kind of gets you the, helps you get the basics right. Okay, but then there are these people who are selling like, okay, buy this course and you will get, I don't know, 10 LPA, 12 LPA. Look, one of our students got 30 LPA. Those are probably a lot more clickbait than you realize. So the only benefit that you will, so only for two people I would recommend if you want to go for those courses. One is, somebody said, like, if you want to do networking, you will have again this cohort of students who are doing the same thing again and again. You will probably get some benefit out of it. You will know a lot more people. Not the immediate switch. If the company helps you, who is selling you the course, helps you with the placement, then okay. But in the future, you might be able to access those people. But again, more than likely, you'll probably get scammed in the market. So I'll suggest that if you want to learn a new thing, try to learn it by yourself. That's the best solution, because you will also make a lot of mistakes, and that's a great learning. You will know what not to do in the project. And I think that's also a very important piece of learning. You guys, if you are going for directly, I'll write some code, it will run, that's a good learning, but not as much as if you write 10 different things and they don't work. That negative pattern also helps why certain things are not built and what will probably not work. That intuition also gets developed. I once spent approximately one full night in Django trying to get the login right. So there's just username, password button. You just enter username, password. I wanted to see hello Abhishek on a screen. Zero HTML, zero CSS. Just this one page. I tried and I deleted probably 5 or 6 different Django projects when I was learning. And that also serves a lot of benefit. If you today go into ChatGPT and type the same problem, you'll probably get the code, you copy paste it, it'll run, but you will not learn anything. And that's also one of the problems you need to understand. You need to the courses are only going to tell you what to learn, but the onus of learning is not just looking at the videos and solving their problems. It goes much deeper. How much you practice, how much curious you are about the project. So if you genuinely are passionate about some topic, and there is a course that teaches you the length and breadth of it, and you really want to go for it, then go for it. Or if you are a kind of person who cannot get self motivated to study and you want somebody to run behind you with a stick, then maybe an in-person class is going to give that pressure and that motivation for you to study. But other than that, if you're just going because you're thinking, okay, I'm not getting a job, maybe if I do this course I'll get a job, that's probably not going to make as much of a difference as you're thinking right now. What will work best for you is going for volume, especially if you're under 10 LPA, or if you're a new joiner. This is a big advice for you. Just go for volume, apply to a lot of companies, and meanwhile study all your basics perfectly and try to crack as many companies as possible. If companies are not responding to you, go for hackathons, ask for referral on LinkedIn. You can try a lot more things before actually resorting to these things. But they will never make you independent, because then again, who will buy their courses? So it's not in their best interest to tell you these things. But trust yourself and then play the volume game. If you are on a lower level, that definitely helps, right? So yeah, preparing for the interviews is like the number one thing you should start doing. If you are especially in the final year of engineering, or you are stuck in a company you feel you are very comfortable in, probably you should start preparing now. Because once you get desperate, your psychology starts acting against you. It's not the hard work where people fail. It's the psychological part of it. that actually gets to people. Will I be able to do this or not? Will this work for me or not? All of this takes away your time from actually studying and putting in the work. And where you should have gotten that offer like in 2 months, you will probably make it a 6-month journey for yourself, because you just don't trust yourself anymore. So yeah, there's this saying that you should dig the well before you are thirsty. And it's not very, because we are engineers, even I come from not a good college. So my intuition is, okay, if the submission is tomorrow, I'll start studying today. But that heavily backfires in the end. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that you guys start working on your interviewing skills. You start working, let's say, if nothing, just write very, very small pieces of code. Write a simple for loop. Print the pattern. No, I know you probably would have done it in year one, but if you're not good at it, there is no point to it. And if you're already good at it, let's say you have done it very religiously from the first year, then go for DSL. Start with linked list. Then go for stack, then go for binary search, then go for queue, tree, and then backtracking. Learn recursion, then do the DP. In this order, if you start studying, then in middle, if you are like bored and the same topic is getting overwhelming, throw in some hashing. Hashing is a great topic to learn. You can learn about the string operations, array operations, and you can keep it interesting, and you can start doing this. This will, you will say like, okay, why DSL go again? ChatGPT does it. Yeah, it doesn't matter, because as long as your problem skills, solving skills are improving, you will always be relevant in the market. No matter what technology comes in, you will sort of become not replaceable, because problem solving goes beyond DSL go. This is just a way to see how much good you are. This is like a common language of talking. Okay, if we have like 5-10 minutes, we would also like to talk about AI. Do we have the time, Varshita?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I would like to share 2 cents on how AI is going to impact you guys, because I was also one of those naysayers who thought in 2022 the impact is not going to be that much, but now I see the trend is changing, and I accept that it's going to hurt you. I could be wrong. These are like my understanding of the market, how it's going to go, and how you should prepare yourself. So first things first. When I was in engineering, and even like 2-3 years before me, if you were in engineering from a normal college and if you got into one of these service-based companies as a mass hire, we call them truck companies because they come with a truck full students and they go. So that used to be a running joke. These are truck companies, right? But if you were to be placed in these truck companies, you could easily land a 3.5 LPA, 4 LPA job, right? Now, even after, I don't know how many, 10, 10, 12 years, you'll probably find the same package. Inflation adjusted, it's a lot less now. That means, even recently I read a news that Cognizant is going with like 2.5 LPA contract jobs. 2.5 LPA jobs in this day and age is too less. And this trend will continue to grow on, because whatever you are trying to do, mostly the GPT over time will get more and more capable of doing it, because you are not doing the design, you're doing some very base level small coding, which it is very good at. So GPT is exactly coming from for joiner level jobs, but they will not completely eliminate it, because then the industry will stop growing. If we cut off every beginner and we say, okay, we won't do beginner jobs, you will never gain experience, we will grow old, you will grow old, and now nobody knows computer. So the industry will not do that. They will still have to give out jobs, right? So the two ways they will go about it is, number one, they will probably start giving contract jobs. Like, let's say, instead of joiner level permanent jobs, they will say, okay, you have a 3-month contract. You need to prove your worth so that we can keep you, right? And the pay will also probably be not that good. So it's not going to be as easy going forward. Like with more and more years, this will probably become more and more prominent, and they will stick to these ideas. Your job would be, try to crack that offer and try to perform your best in that internship period or in your contract period, right? And then try to do as many small contracts, try to do open source to get that exposure. For you, I think open source contribution is the best way to learn. Just pick any package that you like and then go for it while preparing for the interview, so the both should not come at a cost of each other. Also, don't be afraid of AI. Like, do not think like, okay, if the AI is like, for example, I because I said like practice without AI, but that doesn't mean that you should completely eliminate AI from your life. You do the practice, you do the hard work where you are supposed to do the hard work, but also learn things from AI. Try to boost your learning speed using AI. So because I have realized that you try to sort of, you get a feel for different AI models as you keep using them. ChatGPT has a different kind of feel. So now in my head, I have a good idea when to use which model. When should I use Cloud? When should I use ChatGPT? When should I use Gemini? Also get that feel for what the AI's capabilities are, what its limitations are. How can you prompt it to be more accurate? Because if I can prompt it faster than you, that's where I become more productive, right? And that happens only when you are also clear with your basics. So it works in tandem, right? It's not either or. I am better at GPT because I am better at coding. So you cannot be like, okay, I have GPT, so I don't. It's not an either or. And managers will sell this to you because they want valuations. So basically, internet will say, hey, coding is going to be obsolete. It's not. For a very, very simple reason. Coding is problem solving. Problems are always there. So you will need some people to solve them. Number two, 10 years or 12 years from today, earlier, uh, people came with low code, no code. So tools like MuleSoft and this and that, WSO2 and everybody got a lot of funding just based on the fact that they said, hey, now we have low code, no code. You can drag and drop instead of writing this big Java JSP server. You can just drag and drop and your REST API will get ready. And this will eliminate the need for coding. Now, 12 years later, you and I are having this conversation again, but with AI. But what ended up happening is they created a specialization. So now I have friends who are MuleSoft experts who know MuleSoft better than I do. I know how to write general coding, but they know MuleSoft better. Right. So now it's a specialization. I can't touch them, they can't touch me. We have created our own safety bubbles in a way. With AI, also, it will create like a bubble wrap. So it will like, okay, he is a very good MuleSoft developer along with AI that knows MuleSoft better, that kind of thing. So it is creating one more avenue of expertise. So you should not be feeling like, okay, I'll get replaced because of AI. You can use AI to be more productive, and in fact it might help you in the long run because you might demand more packages in the future because you are so much productive. You can do two three things at the same time. You are building your own agents that are running on loop. So since you are this meta developer who does AI for the problems needed to be solved, you can definitely command a good package and it's not that replacing. Shubhanshu is asking, what's one mindset or habit that's helped you grow consistently in your career? Well, like I would say the biggest mindset is to like challenge yourself and always try to learn. Be passionate about what you're doing essentially. I might not be at all times passionate about the product that I'm building very practically, but I am passionate sometimes about the technology. Sometimes I'm passionate about let's say the way I'm doing things. Sometimes I'm passionate about okay how the outcome will look like. So you can be interested in different things, and sometimes you just need to challenge yourself. You need to take that risk if you can. Now some of you hearing this might come from not a financially strong background. You might have to send money to your parents. You can have different financial obligations, and maybe at this moment you cannot take that risk. But trust me, life will give you a chance to take a risk, and whenever it does, then don't be scared, don't be comfortable. Take that risk, and remember it's a risk, so it might not work out for you. But if you see the worst of the worst, no, you will learn more than the best. I have seen so many people who have so much better resumes than I do. Like they did engineering from IIT or NIT, and then they joined immediately campus placement in Microsoft, then went to Adobe, then went to Google. Crazy resume. But given a chance, if you were to put them in a very tricky position, they probably will falter because they haven't seen how it is like to struggle or survive at the lower ends of this IT, where you are made to mass produce pages, where you are made to struggle for your income. They have seen only the high parts. So if you just keep challenging yourself, if you take the risks and genuinely follow the voice inside of you that says, okay, you really want to keep doing this? Do you want to do something better? If you keep following that voice, generally good things should follow. And just keep your basics right. That should definitely help you, right? And if in fact I would say that right now taking a jump for your career is like a very good time. because generally it happens like the trend happens earlier, then the money comes, then the boom happens, like a bell curve, right? There is a boom and then there is a fall. Now we are in the early stages of the market. So if you take a jump now, you're more likely to fall into a good place than when everybody has done it and then you take the risk. You're most likely to catch the trailing end of the market and then you'll get stuck somewhere. You also can get layout. There's a lot of this. So market situations also determines when you do. But yeah, as I said, people say that there's a luck factor. Yes, let's say today you and I, we were to play a game where I'll toss a coin and with heads you will get money, with tails I'll get money, your money. So it's a net zero system mathematically, because 50% times you should win, 50% times I should win. But that's not what happens, right? If I toss 3 times, maybe you will win the money because there are more heads, and I will get less money because less tails, right? But if you were to toss the coin 1 trillion times, most likely it will come very close to 50%. So you need to just, so the effect of luck, you might today have a good luck, tomorrow you might have a bad luck, or earlier bad luck then good luck. But I'm saying if you try enough number of times, your effect of luck will average out over time, and you are most likely to then have a skill that will pay you more. If that makes sense. It's pretty abstract, but if you had to have one mindset, I would say keep trying, keep challenging yourself, and keep growing. Sometimes that also entails not taking a risk, just sitting at home and then studying a Sunday. Could be very simple, but yeah, keep growing and keep challenging yourselves. If you want like ideas to what to try, I would say, see, think about it. There are not going to be bigger technical changes now after GenAI. So for example, I don't know if you guys are big front-end developers or not, like if you know the concept of front-end or not, but when I was in engineering, Google Polymer came up, which first time introduced that arrow bracket syntax. But it never caught on. Then Angular came with a very different syntax, and then React.js came, and that kind of stuck around. Now there is Solid.js, Svelte, other technologies which are coming around. But what happened is now React has built this entire ecosystem around it, and AI has been trained on it. So now there is very less likely that now that if you learn React.js, now if you learn Python 3, you are very likely to face that challenge of learning a very new technology sooner, because the new startups that will come, what they will try to do is they will try to use the same technology because GenAI can generate them easily. Tomorrow, if you and I will create a new language, right? Let's say we create something called as Jython, right? Which is like a Python but with Java syntax. You LLMs will do terribly on that because there is not enough data. So they will rather stick with Python, even if Jython gives them a better performance, right? So if you invest in a very good technology which is popular now, you are most likely to stay relevant for the next few years. I hope I'm wrong in this, because then that will mean that the tech itself is staggering and we are just keeping the APIs as it is and changing the underlying implementation, which is horrible. But it is what seems is going to happen in the near future. So just pick one or two technologies and then stick with it, right? And then challenge yourself to try and write better and better code on that same technology. Try to learn it deeper, how it works and how it is changing. I hope that helps. Are there any questions you guys want to ask me about anything?
Yeah, Abhishek, I have a question for you. We
Okay.
often talk about skills and success, but
Hmm.
tech can be intense too. Let me ask you this. Have you ever faced burnout or felt like you are falling behind? How did you bounce back?
Oh, I think most of the time, like there was a time in my life where I always felt I was like falling behind. Uh, Bouncing back was just hustle. So you just consume and you study like it's war footing, and then you realize that okay, sooner or later you are going to catch up. There are some things that take time. Like for example, I talk about this. Like for example, for an interview preparation, let's say, and I'm suddenly realizing that I'm falling a lot behind. Somehow I'm not relatable, and I want to crack, let's say, a front end interview, right? So there are two aspects of that interview. First is the DS algo part of it that they're going to ask, which I don't know, and the second is the technical aspect of it, like what is the closure, what is the promise, that I don't know the answers to, right? Knowing about promises closures is just a theory part. I can just read and know. Today you may not know, but it won't take much time for you to know. You just read a definition and you're like, okay, fine, I understand. DSL on the other hand, you can't just read it today and tomorrow say that I know. I'll flip the question, you won't know the answer anymore because you have not internalized it. So something like DSL will take time. You need to build that understanding of how to solve a problem. How do you approach a new problem that you have never seen before using the existing concepts, right? So you kind of mix and match how you study. If you realize I'm falling behind, just identify the avenues where you are falling behind, and then realize, okay, this one takes a lot more time. This is just quick memory. Pass the interview and most likely you will forget 30% of it also, or 50% of it also. So you first do the hard part, let it sink parallelly in your head, and then you do the quick part at the end of it so that you remember it better. So when you're going for the interview, both of the concepts are fresh in your head. That's how you kind of you do that. Sir, can you tell me about time management? Oh, I'm the worst person to ask this question because I have horrible time management. um, my time management is just like, okay, now I feel like doing this, I'll do it. There is no really, and this is what I've seen, like most of my notes, if you read, they are a mess. Only I can probably understand what I had written. At this point, I think most of the, what do you say, most of the notes that I have right now are just ChatGPT chat links that I have, and I open, I read what I have talked to ChatGPT. That's literally it. I had last time I had a pen and paper and I had taken any note or anything. It's like 18 years. Time management is also similarly screwed up for me. If you want to do time management, I would say do a Pomodoro technique, I guess, like where you study for 20 minutes, take a 10-minute break, and then study for 20 minutes. I advise this, but I don't follow this myself. So yeah, if you want to follow, that's like the most productive. Krishan is asking, any tips on handling interview anxiety? Volume. The answer is volume. Just be scared, and let's say if you want to give an interview, or if you're planning for an interview, your dream company is 3 months, 1 month down the line, or 3 weeks down the line. Today, just try to arrange interviews for the next 1 week that are at least 2 to 3 per day. So basically, you want to give 2 to 3 interviews for actual companies for the next 3 weeks, and you put all your energy in doing that, because at one point you are going to be so exhausted that you will be exhausted, but there won't be any anxiety. That's my plan, and you will get so used. This is called exposure therapy in psychology, by the way. You just expose yourself to the daunting feeling at the third time, fourth time. How many times are you going to feel the anxiety? You'll feel it thrice, you'll feel 4 times, you'll feel 5 times, 6 times, it will be like, oh my god, there's one more interview. And it will kind of, you can kind of get the groove of it. And then and also you'll probably learn the questions of the interview. So it's like getting the latest dumps. If I give you interview questions right now, which I know of, you'll probably get 3 or 4 different questions, because I gave interview like 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm kind of rusty. But the best way to get the anxiety down and the questions is just, if you, let's say, have a target company three weeks down the line, give 3 or 4 interviews, or at least 2 interviews per day for the next 2 weeks. And by the time you reach a target company, you might be bad at it, but you already have a few offers. And if you have 1 or 2 companies down for you, you will feel less anxiety, and you might also get a better offer that you have not planned before. So yeah, best thing is exposure. Just do it a lot, many times. Be scared and do it anyway. So I would, like, if I had to give you guys a general advice now going forward, I would say cracking a job offer for the first time has a lot to do with luck and moderately to do with skill. So you have to play the numbers game regardless of your anxiety. Doing it for your anxiety is okay, but you have to play the numbers game. You have to get a lot more offers. You need only one, but try to get 3 offers and then pick one. That has a lot, that has nothing to do with your practical choices of the offer. Like, you're still joining one company only, you're not working for 3, but it has a lot of impact on your psyche, on your psychology. And you will feel a lot more confident when you join. You will know that, okay, I can crack more interviews. You will less likely be stuck in a toxic situation. And I would say every 1 year or 2 years, just even if you're happy, just try to give interviews, try to stay in the group. It's like a practice, like an actors have internalize that they have to give auditions, no matter if who the actor is. They give auditions. Similarly, as an engineer, internalize giving interviews. What about language you learned for placement as freshers? Gayatri, I think I knew Python at the time of joining. I knew a little bit of Java, but I was not like super strong with it. Although my work was in Java, and then I moved to JavaScript. So for me, language has been ever fluid, ever changing based on what I'm doing. If I had to recommend you, if you want to learn building applications and you're more interested in the backend side of it, or if you're just starting out and you want to learn problem solving, I recommend start with Python, because it's a higher level language. So you have to write less code. If you are in your engineering and you want to do your projects and all, go with Python because it's very fast to build with it, and it's a non-typed language. So what it will help you with is, because any dynamically typed language has no data type. Like for example, in Java, if you have to declare a string, you like string s is equal to Abhishek, right? But in Python, you will just write a equal to Abhishek. In JavaScript, you will like var a is equal to Abhishek. So nowhere does it say the data type, and you can always change it. So it's a great mental exercise because you have to keep tracking your variables at all times, and that helps you build a map on how my code is running. It will force you to think that part also the code is smaller, so it's easier to learn. And once you have learned one language, you will see the other languages are not too different. They have a similar syntax, they don't change much. So you can always learn new things. If you are going for a front end developer role, then learn the JavaScript. If I could give you an advice what two languages to learn, stick with JavaScript and Python as starting point. But then don't be like, I'm a Python developer or I'm a JavaScript developer. Whatever opportunities come in, do the DSL go in Python, and do if there are any React or JavaScript specific questions, do that. And then once you get in the company, if they're working in Java, they're working in Java. If they're working in .NET, then that's your luck. So yeah, Gayatri, that's to answer your question. Uh, yeah, I think we have already reached the 1 hour mark. Vashishta, do you have any thoughts or questions that you'd like to clear? Hello? I think she is disconnected. I'm not sure even I am audible or not. Okay. Okay. I guess Vashishta has disconnected. Um, okay, cool. Since we have a few minutes, I would tell you, like, if you want to learn coding stuff and anything related to that, free code camp is a great resource. You can learn there. Geeks for Geeks, highly recommended. um, and if you want to learn design or something like that, I would recommend anything you want to learn, just search for this website called roadmap.sh. I don't know if I can leave it in the chat, but go to this website and it will tell you how you should approach any technology. If you want to become a front-end developer, back-end developer, whatever you want, it can do that. Let me see, I'm not able to post like this, but yeah, I'll leave it in the chat. And here you can find whatever roadmap you're looking for, a general guideline for what you should be doing. Hello, Mashishta.
Hi.
Yeah.
If you all have any questions, yeah, please drop it in.
Yeah. Also, I know I have dropped a lot of jargons and thoughts in this one. You might need a minute to unpack all of this, which is totally fine. I just wanted to keep it out there because the way I have learned things is like somebody had dumped a lot of stuff on me, and then when you grow, when you are working with it, sometimes you'll probably remember, oh yeah, that there was one point, and then you can make it make sense.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abhishek, for joining us today and sharing such honest, powerful insights. Your journey and advice are sure to motivate many students and early career professionals tuning in today. As Abhishek too mentioned, contributing to open source can greatly boost up your career on that note. So we have GSOC 2025 starting soon, and CA applications are live too now. Please go ahead and apply and follow for more updates. To everyone here, we hope this session helped you feel more confident and prepared for your own tech career journey. We'll be posting session highlights and resources shortly, so make sure to follow GirlScript Foundation for more such inspiring events. Until next time, keep learning, keep building, and see you in the next session.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.